My mother exploded at Thanksgiving. Without us, you're nothing. I just grinned. She demanded. Can you imagine being told, right to your face, by your own mother, that you're nothing? That without her, you'd be utterly worthless? And then, having the perfect, devastating comeback, ready to drop like a bomb at the Thanksgiving dinner table? Because that's exactly what happened to me. For as long as I could remember, I grew up with all the cliches, blood is thicker than water, your parents want the best for you, family always has your back. But the brutal truth? My family never, not once, had mine. In fact, they seemed to revel in reminding me I was the weakest link, the perpetual disappointment. Thanksgiving was always their main stage, the ultimate battleground for our dysfunction. Picture it, a long, gleaming oak table. My mom, perched at the head, a smug queen surveying her domain. My dad, quietly echoing her every word. And my older brother, Ethan, the golden child, basking in their unwavering approval. Then there was me, Lucas, wedged into some corner, expected to smile politely while their insults were carefully disguised as jokes. I learned early that in our house, love came with conditions, and approval was a currency I simply couldn't afford. But that particular Thanksgiving, it felt different. I knew it would be another round of them sizing me up, dissecting my life. But there was this electric hum in the air I couldn't shake. I walked through the door carrying a homemade pumpkin pie, a small gesture, a quiet act of defiance, really. Not that it mattered. Mom's first words weren't, hello, or glad you made it. She just looked me up and down, a slow, dismissive gaze, and said, Lucas, you should have worn something nicer. At least try to look like you're doing something with your life. I forced a smile, but her words scraped across old wounds I thought had healed years ago. The funny, ironic thing was I wasn't doing badly at all. I had my own business, something I'd been quietly, diligently building from the ground up. And for the first time in my life, it was actually flourishing. But if I told them that, they'd roll their eyes, dismiss it as a hobby, or worse, accuse me of lying. My family loved to pretend I was a failure because it made them feel bigger, more successful, more important. So I said nothing, took off my coat, and took my usual seat at the far end of the table. Dinner started exactly as it always did. Mom boasting about Ethan's new promotion. Dad chiming in about how proud they were. And then, the not-so-subtle digs at me. Still renting that little apartment, Lucas? Mom asked, dripping with fake concern. If you'd stayed in law school like we told you, you wouldn't be scraping by. I clenched my jaw, took a slow breath. Ethan chuckled, stabbing his fork into the turkey as if to punctuate her point. The thing about enduring years of this kind of treatment is you develop an odd sort of tolerance. Every insult doesn't feel like a fresh stab anymore. It's more like a constant, dull ache, a reminder of why you're fighting so hard to escape. Still, it stung. I remember thinking, why am I even here? But leaving would just give them more ammunition. And a small, maybe foolish, part of me, still desperate for their approval, wanted to show them I wasn't the weak kid they remembered. That's when the conversation shifted, hardening. Mom leaned back in her chair, swirling her wine, a sharp little laugh escaping her lips. Without us, Lucas, she declared, loud enough for the whole table to hear, like it was some punchline, you'd be nothing. Don't ever forget that. You've always needed us. My chest tightened, but instead of shrinking away like I used to, I caught myself smiling. Not a big grin, just enough to make her pause, make her narrow her eyes. What's so funny? She snapped. The room quieted. Forks froze midair. Even Ethan stopped smirking long enough to look at me. I shook my head slowly, weighing my words. My heart was hammering in my chest, a frantic drumbeat, because this was it. This was the moment. All those years of swallowing and then, the part that shocked everyone watchful story.